Hey guys, so I'm back with the second video as promised, and I hope I'm able to deliver. So let's get into it. On this video I'd like to focus on mental development and mental reformation. And to a lot of you may ask why. It's my personal opinion that without a solid foundation we would have a shaky structure. We're not going to be able to build on anything. So before we get into structural reformation, corruption, how to tackle crime, taxes, all those things that a couple of people highlighted in the last video as they want to know what's going to go on, we need to have a solid base. And to have that solid base, everything starts in the mind. All plans start in the mind, and what happens is an end product of what goes on. So before we delve into structural reformation, etc., we need to focus on mental development and mental health. I broke it down into 4 categories, but I actually made the last 2 categories into one because they both tie in. So the first category would be mental health of men, then mental health of women, and then mental health in the family home. Now the family home can be broken into singular families and extended families, and we're also going to target single parent family homes because that has a big part to play in society today. We're now moving away from more extended family homes, and we're more growing as a singular family nation, which is very opposite to what we were in the past. So before I get into any new developments and ideas, I'd just like to point out a couple statistics that I acquired from a joint select committee on mental health and awareness in 2017. Now if I'm not mistaken, this is updated as of June 2017. It is estimated, based on the studies done for this committee, that 20% of the adult population of Trinidad and Tobago suffers from mental disorder or illness. Now 20%, on the grand scheme of things, people may think, oh, 20% is not a big deal. 20% is 1/5 of the population. Think about that. 1 in 5 people can be suffering from mental health issues or disorders. That is a big thing. It can be friends, family, and it's not something we should take for granted. And let's give you even more devastating news. It's estimated that 20 to 25% of the total population of children and adolescents suffer from mental disorder and illness. So there we go. Both parents and kids suffer from mental disorder and illness. So how can we focus on our jobs? How can we focus on our country if our parents and our kids aren't able to thrive, aren't able to be themselves and have some sort of hindrance in being themselves? So that being said, I'm gonna get straight into the mental development of men first. Now what I have here, I'm just putting it in a couple bullet points to really stimulate the thought in your minds. Now I'm not gonna get very much in depth into it because then I'm gonna be talking for the entire day basically. So what I think in men that we can do, firstly, it's not seen as a norm, and it's not seen as something positive that men seek psychiatric help or seek mental stability, emotional stability. It's frowned upon based on years of men having to fit to the stigma of being rigid and tough and must be able to provide, not showing emotions, etc. What we need are more desensitivity campaigns to break the stigma and let men understand, men like myself, my friends, my parents, anyone, break the stigma to let them know, okay, it's alright if you want to cry. It's alright if you're frustrated and you have no idea of how to let this anger out. This in itself is a very, very big deal. It's breaking the chains and shackles that tie us men to what I could say leads to very, very unhealthy habits, passive aggressive anger issues. It leads to abuse, abuse of not only physical abuse in significant others, etc., but abuse of substances, whether controlled or illegal substances. So we really want to destigmatize that mentality of having to to keep everything to yourself. We want to make it comfortable. Same way you'd go to the doctor if you're feeling ill. You'd go to a psychologist. You speak your mind, you get your problems off, and it definitely does make you feel better. And that need for help, once we know that we can get help and we make this help easier, a lot easily accessible, then there's nothing we can't really achieve. So in doing that, we provide more mediums and outlets for emotional release, because keeping everything up in your mind as a man, it usually tends to take a toll on you. It affects your job, it affects your family life, etc. Now a lot of things that I realize go on is based on stress levels. A lot of men tend to keep things to themselves, as I said, based on what we were taught growing up is the right thing to do, what it is to be a man, which we need to change. But I would like to see a lot more stress tests being placed on people in employment positions, as well as psychiatric evaluations. I am not aware of any company in Trinidad that asks for a psychiatric evaluation of the candidate, whether it be male or female or indifferent, before they start to work. I can be wrong, but I am not aware of any company that asks for a psychiatric evaluation. Based on these aptitude tests and psychiatric evaluations, we can tell how the person reacts to stress. How are they affected by stress? What are their current stress levels? And if they are cut out for the job at hand, if they are not, etc., as the case may be. These psychiatric evaluations should be, had it been up to me, on a monthly basis. Now we can categorize these jobs, because you're not gonna have a low stress level job and be going to a psychologist every week, because it doesn't make sense. So if we categorize these jobs based on high stress level, medium stress level, and low stress level jobs, we can say, okay, for low stress level jobs, you can go to see the psychologist once in 3 months. For medium, you can go once in 2 months, and for high stress level jobs, I would recommend personally, with no formal experience of course, but bi-monthly, at most monthly, nothing more than a month. This really allows the candidate or the individual to express themselves, get it out there, and not carry this baggage back home. Now the other category I wanted to target, which is a category that's really on the forefront these days, are women. Yes, you may think, okay, women's rights are developing and we're seeing a lot of change and growth, but we're not seeing enough change and growth, and we're not seeing enough development. We need more empowerment programs, and these empowerment programs aren't just gathering of women in different areas. No, this is exactly what it says: empowerment programs. So we're not here to just put a group of women and say, okay, this is an empowerment program, and have a cup of tea. No, we're gonna have trained licensed individuals come and really get into the core matters that affect women, whether it be in the workplace, personal life, whatever as the case may be. We're going to really start targeting that. Now all these initiatives that I'm targeting is both based on the public sector and the private sector. The public sector is a lot easier to integrate into. The public sector would be a lot more difficult, as in terms of accessibility and transparency, etc. As well as, after empowerment programs, we need to look at psychiatric evaluations as well for women. A lot more women are victims of mental abuse, domestic abuse, etc. compared to men. And you would find that a lot more women have become victims of abuse because of children. They try to do what's best for the children, and they tend to stay in less than, how would I phrase this, less than suitable situations. They try to make sure the kid's taken care of, they have nowhere to go. That motherhood gene is really something I can't explain. I am not a mother, but I've seen it in mothers all around me. We need to place more power on the Equal Opportunities Tribunal. Firstly, this tribunal needs to be independent if it already isn't. And in being independent, we're now going to let this tribunal investigate all sectors, public and private. In the public sector, each institution, each ministry, each county corporation, anything shall be subject to investigation by the Equal Opportunities Tribunal. Why? Because there's absolutely no reason a woman should be paid less than a man, or a man paid less than a woman for doing the same exact job. And it regardless of age, race, it does not matter. It's the quality of work that we're putting out is what we're getting judged on. So the Equal Opportunities Tribunal is a very serious initiative on my part. It really keeps the playing field level for all men and women. And that's about what I have for women. So we're gonna get into the family home. Alright, now the family home is one area that I realize no one has placed much attention on, unfortunately, which probably is the root of a lot of issues that we have today in our society. 400 students, based on the same Joint Select Committee report highlighted earlier, 400 students are on suicide watch currently, with the youngest being, and I'll ask you to make a guess, but the youngest being 7 years old. Now let's take a moment and let that resonate with us. 400 students on suicide watch. Why is it that our young, thriving students, basically the milk of our country, why is this happening? Is this happening because our education system is too rigid? Why is this happening? I'm not going to get into the education side as yet. I'm trying to keep it a little structured. However, we need to place more evaluations of children in schools. We need to train our teachers, our police officers, any individuals that come into contact with kids. We need to have them trained accordingly. If they come into school with bruises on their arms, okay, don't take it for granted that it was a play park bruise. Don't take for granted that, okay, listen, maybe it's okay or whatever. No, this is exactly where the problem lies. We need to be more involved. We need to evaluate our kids from a young age without any pressure. We need to let them understand that it's okay to open up, and sometimes the ones that they think have the best interest at heart doesn't. We as a country need to have the best interest at heart for our kids. Right. Also, in the promotion of single and extended family homes, it's not something that's highlighted, and I think we really need to place emphasis on it. So in the promotion of single and extended family homes, what it is I suggest we do is increase daycare services. Now you're gonna be like, why are we gonna do this? If you look at the makeup of a single family home in today's society, it is very, very difficult for one member of the family alone to be working. Most times both members are working. Now compare that to extended family homes. When the parents go to work, the kids would remain with grandparents, aunts, etc. We don't have that luxury nowadays. So if we increase the amount of registered daycare services, then we can have, especially in government institutions, in each government institution there should be a daycare service, of which the parent would drop the kid to the daycare service, continue with his or her daily job, collect them and leave. It would be nice to implement this in the private sector as well, although costs prohibits a lot. And to counteract that cost, because again everything is based on what we can afford, especially in these hard economic times, is that we now can implement more daycare services in the communities. Each community has a community building. I'm missing this word entirely, but we have a community center. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. At least in each community, we can place daycare services in each community center, have it filled with registered officials, registered trained daycare specialists, to have parents drop their kids off, know their kids are secure and safe, not subject to any mishaps whatsoever go to work, and come back home. Yes, all these are additional costs, but it is a cost that we can, in further videos to come, I will show you guys how we can tie it into the taxes we already pay instead of paying an additional cost. But this is something that we can do almost immediately. We have 72 persons graduating with their bachelors in psychiatric nursing between the period of 2014 to 2016. That's a lot of people that we could staff in community centers all over Trinidad and Tobago. So essentially this is what I have for you guys here today. I really want you to think on it, and feel free, hit me up with any questions, any recommendations you guys have. Hit me up, we can do this. And I'm really trying to keep a formatted structure to what we're gonna do in the upcoming videos. I'm not just gonna be jumping from mental development to structural reform to taxes to corruption to crime. No, we're gonna build as we're building a house. We start with the base, we start with the structure, and we build solid going upward. So together, you and I, we all can work and we can make this better for Trinidad and Tobago. Thanks for watching, guys.